All right, welcome everybody to Worldwide Academy Training Services YouTube channel. I'm Donna Penna, and this is Thurston Gill Jr. He is our
Hello.
lead instructor, and we're so glad that you joined us again for this meeting and for visiting us on YouTube. Thank you to those of you who have been viewing our content that we're putting up there. We are really happy to be able to come and to just come together and to discuss. Right now, we really have been kind of focusing on the emergency preparedness end of things. And we really need your help because our whole purpose with this is actually to build a network of people who are like-minded, who are interested in the information that we may have and that they may have to share with us, to build this network, to get the word out to more people so that we can help more people. That is really, really what our desire is. So make sure that you hit the like button and you subscribe to our channel, because when you do that, you'll know what our upcoming content, our upcoming videos will be, and share with your friends, share with your friends and families. And let's get those subscriptions up, because we really do want to go live at some point. So that way we can have more interaction with you guys in our audience. And but we can't do that until we get to a certain amount of subscriptions. So like, subscribe, and share. All right. So now that that's out of the way, tonight we are going to be discussing crisis management, the crisis management strategic model. And this is, like I said before, I think I said this before, I'm more of the admin kind of, marketing person of this information. And Thurston is really the guy who knows it. I've learned so much from him, and I continue to learn. And so I am going to turn it over to him to actually kick this off. And I'm just, thank you, Thurston, again for being here with me to discuss this. When I look at crisis management strategic model, I think, okay, this is some kind of plan, and maybe it's something for companies or schools or organizations or whatever, something like that. But I don't know if it's for me individually. So why don't you tell us what this all means?
Yeah, unfortunately, it is a mouthful. But the idea is, put it simply, is that we have to have a strategic plan when it comes to dealing with, that's what this is all about. Emergency preparedness is all about being in a position to be able to manage any threats to our safety or well-being. So if that is our goal, we want to strategically plan. Well, there needs to be some criteria by which, or a model by which, to help us to implement our planning. So what I'd like to do is talk about the process that's involved in dealing with a crisis. First, looking at a crisis itself. Crisis can mean a fire, armed robbery. It could be an injury or accident at your home. It could be an active shooter situation. Whatever the case may be, we want to see if we can identify what those potential threats may be and assess what the probability of those occurring and come up with a plan in order to deal with it. Okay, so if we're talking about putting together a plan or a process by which we create this protection umbrella, let's look at a crisis itself. A crisis is 3 stages. It's a crisis before a crisis occurs, meaning before anything has ever happened, I'm taking some measures there, planning to take some measures there to protect ourselves or to protect my family. Then there's the peri-crisis, or a crisis that you're in the midst of. In other words, the crisis is happening. And these are the things that I must be doing in order to make sure that I'm protected or my family's protected. And then there's the post-crisis. That's after the crisis is all over. What do I do now? Well, that's the part where we hopefully kind of put things back together. Now, in those 3 stages, I want to talk about this process. I want to mention 4 words: preparedness, readiness, preparedness, readiness, response, and recovery. Okay. So let's talk about what each of those mean. When I say preparedness, pretty much everybody has a clear idea of what that means, but let's break it down just a little bit more. The aspect of preparedness is to, first of all, do what we need to do to prevent something from going wrong in the first place, okay? So in that process of preparation or preparedness, we're taking measures to prevent something from happening, and we're taking measures so that if something were to happen, then these are the things that I have in place. Like, for instance, if there's a food shortage, I have made preparations by growing my own food, storing it, preserving it, so on and so forth. So that's an example of what I would do in a preparation stage. I want to go back because this is important. Preparedness should begin with prevention. Everything that's done in the preparation plan should be focused on, what do I need to do to prevent my family, myself, or my community against being harmed in the first place? And that will go into the preparation stage or the preparation planning. The second is readiness. Readiness is one of those aspects that gets neglected a lot. Many people think that because they're prepared, that's enough. No, being prepared is just one stage or one aspect of protection. Readiness takes it another step. An example of readiness, or what readiness is our ability or capability of responding to a crisis effectively, and the willingness to respond to a crisis effectively. So it's those 2 aspects that are key: my capability to respond to a crisis event and my willingness to respond to a crisis event. I can be as prepared as I want to be, but unless you're ready, your plan is not going to come together to provide the protection that you're looking for. Okay, so
That's what I was going to ask you, because when I looked at, or when you say preparedness and you say readiness, sometimes I look at that and I was like, oh, well, they seem like they're the same thing.
Absolutely.
But you're saying that preparedness is more of the prevention. What can I do ahead of time to prevent,
set up? Exactly.
Set this up. And then readiness is, do I have what I need? Am I capable of doing this? And am I willing to do this?
Exactly. And so an example of that would be, yes, I'm prepared to deal with a medical emergency by having a first aid kit and having first aid supplies, but are you capable of providing first aid? Well, that takes training. Okay, so that's an example.
And also, I'm sorry, I was gonna say, and am I willing to step in and do that?
Exactly, because everybody does not have the fortitude to do certain things.
No. And I will tell you just a real quick example of that. About a month ago, when I saw a young man had been knocked off his bike, I think I told you about that, by a little motorcycle. And he was, poor kid was laying in the grass, and it was all brush burned, and he didn't get up. He was just laying there all over banged up. And I did stop, and the guy was there, and he said, well, they called 911. The ambulance was on its way, and they were right down the street. But after I left that scene, I thought to myself, oh, I did feel like, God, I didn't have to really, I'm glad I didn't have to really do anything at this point.
Mm.
Although he wasn't, I mean, I could have, because he really, it wasn't that kind of a situation, but
Right.
really what you're saying there, am I willing to, because there could be some really rough situations.
Exactly. And there are certain factors that would hamper our willingness to get involved or to do something or to do certain things. So there is a difference between preparedness and readiness. Another example would be a person that carries a concealed carry permit. So they have a firearm, and they have one at home. They also have one that they carry on their person. It seems like they're ready. Well, they're definitely prepared, right? They have a firearm, and hopefully they got bullets, or they have bullets. But what about capability and willingness? The readiness package has to be together. Do they have training? Can they safely use the firearm? Have they learned to safely handle a firearm? Do they have bullets, but do they have a round chambered in a weapon ready to go? Those are key points that separate preparation from readiness. Another thing is a person, they bought a firearm, they learned how to shoot a firearm, they have the bullet chambered, a bullet ready to go, chambered in the chambered and ready to go, but they really don't want to hurt anybody. So when they end up in a crisis situation where somebody is threatening them with serious bodily harm, they pull out the weapon to hope to scare the person or intimidate the person to back off so you don't have to shoot them. Or what happens if that person doesn't respond to your intimidation?
And they're kind of advancing towards you.
Exactly. Many situations where firearms of the owners have been taken away from them and used against them. So again, readiness is entirely different from preparedness, although they work together. We prepare so that we can be ready. And that means willingness and capability. Okay.
I hope you guys are taking notes. I didn't remind you that in the beginning. I hope you all have a pen like I do and a notepad, because there's, as you can see, there's a lot of valuable information in this. So, okay, Thurston, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Now, so far we've just dealt with preparation and readiness. The stage of a crisis that would fall into is pretty much the pre-crisis, before the crisis occurs. Okay, so preparation and readiness will go into the before the crisis occurs category. That next stage, though, is response. We prepare, we're made ready to be able to respond. This is during the crisis itself, to respond effectively during the crisis. And that means assessing the situation, orienting myself to the situation, and making the decision on the best means of dealing with this crisis. And that is our response. That's the action that takes place.
Say that again, because I think you said, say that again, the assessing.
Yes, it's assessing. That's the period of time where you're assessing the situation.
Yes.
Okay, I see there's a threat. Okay, what do I need to do to be in the best position to take to be in a superior position to be able to overcome this threat. So how would I need to be oriented in terms of my mind, oriented in my spirit, oriented in my body of positioning to be able to make a calculated response? Instead of just reacting, we're going to be responding with calculated actions and thoughts. And that is during the crisis, the phase, or what is called the peri-crisis, the period of time in which the crisis itself is taking place.
Right.
Now, what about after the crisis? Many people don't consider what's involved in making sure that there is what we call a recovery process. And basically what the recovery process is the actions that we have to take, that we must implement to make us whole again. We want to be back or better than we were before the crisis itself. This may mean repairing a door after a person has kicked the door in. It may mean counseling. It may mean prayer. It may be a lot of whatever needs to take place in order to make ourselves whole after we've experienced this crisis.
Yeah, I think that's, to me, that seems like that's hard to prepare, because if you don't know the situation's coming, but I guess in a general way you could.
Yes,
Yeah.
for instance, let's just talk about a fire, for instance. There are certain things we can do in all the stages of a crisis that can put us in a position where we're protected. Smoke detectors, fire extinguishers, learning how to use the fire extinguishers, learning how fires operate, learning how to suppress different types of fires, so on and so forth. So if a fire does happen, if we respond early enough and it's small enough, we can contain it, manage it, or at least get out of the building so that the fire department can do it and facilitate them in making their job easier. But after it's all said and done, do we have fire insurance? Do we have apartment insurance? Do we have numbers of these companies that can come in and do cleanup after a fire? Those are things that go into the recovery process. Where do I stay until my home is rebuilt or restored? Okay, it's an entirely separate process that takes place, designed specifically to make us whole again.
Okay.
And you would do that with each potential threat that you identify. If you live in a flood zone, how do we go through that entire process of preparation, readiness, response, and recovery? If the potential threat is you're planning for an active shooter situation in your business, or even your home with a situation where an individual kicks your door in and a gang of folks come in, a home invasion situation. Preparation, readiness, response, and recovery.
Okay, so now I'm going to be like the average whoever.
Jane.
I was going to say Joe, but I'm like, I could Jane. Okay, but Thurston, I mean, come on. I don't have time to think about every situation and how I can plan all that. I've got to plan out my life. I'm going to my day. I don't have time to do all this stuff.
And you have a very valid point. But
And that's what
when
most people are going to say,
what are you
right?
gonna say? But when a person says that to me, that tells me that they feel overwhelmed.
Mm-hmm.
And I would tell them the first thing we do is to sit down and establish a list of the type of threats that you need to plan for today, realistically.
Mm-hmm.
Realistically today. Your situation might be that you are a person that travels a lot. And that consists of a good portion of your activities in the week. Well, travel security should be one of your primary concerns.
Mm-hmm.
And so sitting down and looking at what aspects of planning I need to have in place, what am I doing now that works? What do I need to do to make it better? And just start implementing the program, So
Yeah, and I got to tell you, I got to blame you for this, or give you credit for this, because the other day I was out in a parking lot somewhere. I think I was at Walmart or something, and or on the trail. I forget where I was, but I was, I said, "Oh my gosh!" I like kind of like shook myself to awareness, and I said, "I'm like thinking about every situation I'm in. Like, can you overdo this? Like, because well, what if that happens, or what if this happens over there? And like, can you get to the point? Like, I know, like, this is really good to know, what if this, then this, or I'll do this. But can a person get too, can it be too much to be thinking that? You know what I mean? Like,
that's a good question, and it's a very valid one.
yeah.
I think that to a certain degree, a person can take this and be a resident in a world of paranoia.
That's the word.
Yes.
That's the word.
And which is entirely unhealthy.
Yeah.
Versus a good, healthy mindset of just being ready at different degrees of readiness. Like, for instance, if we use the color coding to indicate our levels of readiness, and red was the most critical, you can't go throughout your life in red all the time. That's unhealthy and it's unrealistic in most cases. Most of us will probably be in more like a mid calm, when we're at home and we feel safe, whatever. We should be in a white zone, so to speak. But maybe we're walking out in public in areas that we're not familiar with, then of course your sense of awareness, your sense of carefulness is going to have to elevate a bit, especially if you're not familiar with the area or familiar with certain people.
That's,
yes.
And that's, again, that is, I think I said this in the last one, my awareness for my surroundings has just, it's just, I was at a performance last weekend, and I've kind of taken on I'm watching everybody who's coming in the door, like after it begins, or hanging out at the door. Like, what is that person doing, hanging around outside the door?
Good for you.
Especially when there are children involved,
Yes, good for you.
And then like thinking, okay, what if somebody, would just start to act stupid? I mean, people, I've been at, being a former dance instructor and taking some of my students to competitions in the past. Parents can get crazy, and I'm like, and if it's in a crowded situation and it's, starts to heat up, what do we do here? Like, I'm thinking about those kinds of things. What would I do first? How would we get this situation under control? And,
Right.
and just like having, just thinking, I wonder if they're prepared with ice packs for these dancers,
See?
Um,
Yes.
but I do,
Yes,
and I know
exactly.
this is getting off track a little bit, but as you were talking about this, the whole paranoia thing, and I'm not paranoid. I think I just, I had to ask that question, but I think for a future show, a future discussion, we should discuss what what first responders or emergency EMTs and what kinds of things they're dealing with and emotions and stuff. I know that we're not we're not psychologists, psychiatrists, or anything like that. Well, maybe I was just thinking one of these shows for people who constantly are
Yes.
involved in these kinds of things. And even as the days get harder,
Yes.
and we see, because, unfortunately, we are going to see more of the violence and more, people just really kind of losing it, not kind of, but losing it. And how, maybe we could do something, talk about something like that.
And I think that's a good idea because it's an area that is really neglected uh,
mm,
uh, in the business of protecting people
mhm,
and caring for people. And there's a lot of trauma involved in that, if we don't have the skills to cope with it, it can destroy us. I mean, over and over again, over the years, we see these catastrophic events that occur. And many times there's a hero or heroes that
mhm,
are involved in those situations where these individuals are the ones that saved this person's life or saved many more lives or just did what nobody else was able to do, available or capable to do, and they won.
mm,
But in the end, we find out that they commit suicide.
mm.
And so it is real.
Yeah,
It is real. Part of the recovery applies to everybody involved in the event.
yeah.
Everybody.
When even having a discussion about how to even deal with those who are, because of their trauma, acting out in a certain way. But anyway, that's future stuff.
Yes.
We need
Yes.
to drag
I,
you away from that, but
I do want to go back a little bit, rewind just a little bit in terms of you were talking about how your awareness or level of awareness has increased since you've had training and been involved in certain programs, and when probably everybody else is not being aware of certain things you are. That, myself as an example, and I often share this, when I go to an event and I'm with my family, with my wife or with kids or my grandsons or my daughters and my sons, what have you, any family event, and we're in public, I am so exhausted
mm,
after the event that I'm just spent. And the reason why is because I'm typically the only one paying attention to all those things you talked about.
yes.
And you can't see a couple of points I wanted to bring forth. Number one is it is not necessary for us to see everything because it's not possible. But we can be trained to learn to see what's important. So we're not wasting energy and
That's good.
effort or being misdirected and looking at one area when we should be looking over here.
Mm,
So training plays a big part of that. The other thing is that it is refreshing when the entire group is situationally aware, so that it's just not one person shouldering the responsibility of keeping everybody safe. Although that's what I've been paid to do for most of my career.
Yeah.
But the more people in the group that are trained to standard, the less of a burden it is for one or two people. And so again, it's just refreshing.
Yeah, that makes sense. Makes sense. All right. So I think you were on, well, we did recovery, right? So we were
Yeah,
talking.
we pretty much did recover everything we need to do needs to be put in place during the preparation stage in order to make us whole.
Mm,
In order to make us whole.
okay.
Because every event leaves scars, every event leaves some kind of evidence that something has occurred. But because we went through that event doesn't mean it has to be a catastrophic event all the time. There are steps we can take to allow what God meant to happen or allow it to happen. We can take it and work it for the betterment of ourselves.
Okay. Good. All right. Well, so let's review, because I'm reviewing for myself. So this strategic model of crisis management, four parts, right?
Yes.
Preparedness, readiness, response, and recovery.
Yes.
All right. You have anything else that you want to add to that, or?
Well, get training.
Yeah.
Get the training. This is, I agree. We're going to always probably say this, probably on most of our sessions. What we're promoting people to do, it takes a lot of effort. It doesn't happen just by osmosis.
Right.
There needs to be a conscious effort to do the things that need to be done to make sure that people are safe. But having said that, we don't eat an elephant whole. Okay? Or put it this way, before that chicken is fried, we got to prepare it, right?
Right.
We're not going to just put it in our mouth. We got to
Sushi.
prepare it first. It tastes better when it's fried and prepared correctly.
Yes. Yeah. And
And so we take one wing at a time, one leg at a time until
one
we
bite
can
at a
go.
time. How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time, right? Yeah. And I do want to, just reiterate that, it can be overwhelming. And that's not what we're trying to do here. I mean, if people can grasp a couple of points, and this is from each discussion we have, or each, trainings, of course, are different, but that's good. If you can take something away, one or two things away from this, from these discussions, you're doing well. And
Yes.
and that's another reason why we're recording these, because you can go back and you can watch again, you can take notes again, you can maybe some of these, what we're discussing, or the things that we're speaking of will prompt some more questions in your head, or give you some ideas. So
and if you have any ideas, share them, because it may be something that we can benefit from.
exactly. And that is, that's why we have our Facebook groups. I'm still trying to get Instagram up. I just haven't had a chance to complete that yet. I mean, we do have a place on there, but I just haven't been posting. But yeah, I mean, on Facebook, and that's, it's a good time to remind people, we're on Facebook, Worldwide Academy Training Services. We have, that's our general page, but we also have our emergent Worldwide Academy Training Services emergency preparedness page. We have our group, we have, and it's a private group. We have our pet first aid group. And, you can go over there, and we do want people to share. We don't want to have to be constantly, although we are, feeding information in that, because we know there are people who have prepared doing other
Yes.
things. And there's
Yes.
so much that you can
Yes.
do in that it's just great to share. So,
Yes.
you
And
know,
sitting on great ideas that they're implementing and that are working.
yes, yes. And we do know that there are people who are actually, doing these things, who can share with us. And, again, we're forming a network of people who are like-minded, willing to share what they know, willing to learn what others have to share, is really what we're trying to do. So make sure you go over there. I mean, most people are going to see this, that are going to come to look at this at this point, are going to come from our groups and our pages. But don't forget to like, subscribe, and share, because that's the way the algorithms are set up. YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, the more you share, the more people are going to see it. And we are, and once again, we are a nonprofit organization. None of us is getting rich off of this, for sure. Nor we did not set out to do that, but we are nonprofit. We do, we don't have any government support. We don't ever intend to do that. So if this really does, if there's something that, if you're moved to give, please do go to our website, worldwide, it's all spelled out, one word, Worldwide Academy Training Services.org. Very first page, homepage, scroll down, donate. It's really easy. It costs us money to do trainings, and although we do charge for our certification trainings, but for our equipment, for our mannequins, for just other things, copies that we need, all that stuff does cost money.
And also I wanted to say thank you to those individual donors that have supported the programs throughout the years. You know who you are. God bless you. It's a blessing. I know you gave out of sometimes the relationship with one of us, or you gave based upon what benefit you got out of the program. But whatever the case, God bless you. And we really thank you.
Yes, because, since 2011, went through a couple name changes, but thank ya, because this would not continue on. This would not have survived as long as it did, without the Creator's help and his purpose and plan for this. So, and for the people who saw the vision and, wow, amazing. I'm going to write a book one day, whenever I have time. I am going to write a book on the amazing, how we did not survive on millions of dollars. Let me tell you that. And we never even had $1 million, but whatever we had was enough. And it was, everything was provided for us to do this. So
His grace is sufficient.
yes, and we're going to continue to go on as long as, like I said in the first episode, that we thought we were dead in the water. And then all of a sudden, it would start to come alive again. And so we thought, okay, well, we need to keep going here and do as we're led to do. And, so yes, as Thurston said, thank you so much for those who have supported us in the past and who really had, really encouraged us through over the years, and who just, gave from their hearts, even the wisdom and the direction and all that. So just Thank you, thank you, thank you for that. So, all right, I think that's it for tonight. That's all we have to say for now. And do like Thurston has instructed you to do, get some trainings. We have on our website upcoming trainings. We've got pet first aid classes coming up, CPR, human CPR and first aid certification and trainings coming up. We have a wilderness first aid class coming in August. Thurston, do you want to say anything about that? Like, when you hear that, we just think, okay, well, we get hurt in the woods and that's what we're going to learn.
Well, the class that's coming up, it's really an introductory class, but the entire program is quite extensive. And the whole idea is to be able to provide a level of care in an emergency without, in a situations where there's no hope of any EMS support for hours or days. And so there's a lot that has to go involved, and that is involved for preparing it to do that type of class. So you sign up for it, you'll look and see the details. You're going to realize you're not going to learn it in 3 hours. Okay, it's quite extensive. And be honest with you, I really pray that a lot of people sign up for it, because if we ever get into a situation where you have to use this, if you're a hunter, you're an outdoors person, backpacker, camper, you travel to foreign lands where there's very nominal medical provisions set up to support, you need to have a class like this. If not for yourself, for somebody else.
Yeah, thank you for saying that too. It is just, and stressing that it's just this class that's coming up, or this workshop, called a workshop, that's coming up in August, is just an introductory course. So yeah, like you said, there's so much more to that. And I was going to say something else too, and it slipped my mind. The other thing that we do have coming up, which is totally different than what's going on these recordings, maybe I'll have to do one myself one day, is I've been doing ballroom workshops. And some of you know my background was in the performing arts, and had thought that was over too, and then started doing some ballroom workshops, and it's been so much fun. We've been going through different dances, and we've got one coming up, actually, what is it, June 17th, which is coming up really soon. Oh, look who's come to visit you. We're doing disco. We're doing a disco party. It'll be in Bangor, Pennsylvania. So I'm really looking forward to that. In my younger years, and I have to brush up, but in my younger years, we taught thousands of people. That's how big that kind of dance, that style of dance was. But it's going to be a lot of fun. I met a guy that's been coming to he and his wife been coming to our ballroom workshops, and he said he was even going to go out and get the outfits. And I said I should have saved my outfits, but I wouldn't forget to them now. But anyway, yes. So please make sure that you share. Oh, there was one other thing that I wanted to say, and it just slipped my mind about, we were talking about the class. Oh, okay, here it is. Yes. So listen, we don't have a building of our own that we actually do our classes in, but we've been really blessed in the Bangor area to be able to use my daughter's performing arts space, Powerhouse Arts Complex, and so I want to just thank her for that. But and so we can set up classes there, whenever there's time available, and we can do that. But I also wanted to say that we can come out to your location.
Yes.
We have done that for Pet First Aid. We've gone to dog daycares, and we're going to a dog groomers on the 25th of June. So we are willing, and this wilderness, intro to wilderness workshop is actually going to be held at an event, a larger event, where we are going to have a workshop within that. But we come to your location if you have the space. or if you can find the space, if you gather people together, we can come to you. Okay, so I just wanted to put that out there. There really is no excuse for you
Yes.
not to have a training or come to a training.
Let me also add that in the past, it's only happened a few times, but I'm really surprised it's not happening or it's not occurring as much as it could. Entire families have had me come in and do training at their home for the entire household, so that everybody is trained at one time and they learn the skills that are necessary to support one another. So please don't think outside of the box in
Yes.
terms of your training, customizing the training activity for you and your family. So just want to put that out.
Yes, and we do have a few online classes, trainings, nothing that you're certified in, of course, because what we do is hands-on. And we really do believe the in-person classes. I mean, you can find all kinds of trainings online, you know, but we really believe that the in-person
Yes.
hands-on training is so valuable. I mean, you
Yes.
cannot, you know, you can't build a house unless you practice these things, right? You can't just
You're
like,
right.
anyway, I don't know if that's a good comparison, um, but yeah, so, but we are working on, oh my gosh, hope it's not recording. Okay, we are working on, in the future, you know, having more online classes available for people. I do have some of my own online classes, not having to do with this particular topic, subject. And like I said in the beginning, that's more Thurston's area for as far as teaching goes. But I do have some of my own teachings for children. I have, you know, food art classes, which incorporate fun, learning, science-backed, and making food animals and things like that go along with our lessons. And I just absolutely love doing it. And I can also do that in a live Zoom setting. I also do have available a recorded cryptocurrency class, which is an intro to crypto class for people who absolutely have no idea what we're talking about, the whole history of that, the history of fiat money, all that stuff. And I do have that available. I've been just kind of giving that out for free to people. So we have a lot more going on, and just stay tuned, because I really do believe that, you know, you're going to get a lot of value, more value. And also don't forget to check out our past blogs that we have. You know, we've written some blogs in the past, even on some of these subjects. I know, Thurston, you did one on, what was it called? It was really a good blog about being prepared or ready
Oh, yes, yes. Preparedness versus readiness.
versus readiness. And that's on our website. You can go to our blogs. I wrote some for my journey along the way. I've actually got to do another one. My crazy times in life, that's things have gone on, how it's just interesting. And while we're talking about promoting things, Thurston, tell us about the book that you wrote, because I'm absolutely loving this little devotional that you did. So tell us about it.
Well, my second offering as a writer in training is
Here it is.
the Colossal Devotional.
There it is. I have it sitting on my.
Yes. And really what it is a devotional that is designed to provide some, a friend of mine used the term snackables.
Yes.
Snackables.
I love
that. Of what I call soul food, in terms of helping us develop a protective mindset. Protection in terms of protecting ourselves mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and physically. Just taking simple concepts of what I believe the Lord shared with me and through my life experiences that I've journaled over the years And so basically you're getting a glimpse of what has been sitting in my head. That's dangerous too, for years. My head and my heart. But the Lord has used gave me this information to share for a reason. And so I'd encourage you to, if you're not going to get one for yourself, get a book for someone else. And that's what a lot of people have been doing, just that. Also, if you would like, if you're interested in a book and you see the content and it resonates in your spirit and your heart and your head, and you feel you would like to do a reading or a group where I can come in and we can do a study on the concepts and principles that I've shared, feel free to do that. Again, it's the Philosophical Devotional, Engineering the Warrior Priest in All of Us. And I encourage you to, take a look at.
Engineering the Warrior Priest for Dark Times. And I'll tell you, when he said snackable, I love how that your friend described that, because it is. I'm just going to just kind of give you a page. Like, it's very simple to read. I just take it, I don't read every single day, but I'll just take a little, and it's something that you just want to kind of let marinate. What he says,
Yes.
it's written is just, it's short, but it's really gets you thinking, and it really does stir up your spirit, to read this. And it's available, I know at Barnes and Nobles.
Yes, Amazon, Parisian Phoenix Publishers, who is my publisher and the editor, Angel Ackerman, who is my hero, that has encouraged me to take the leap of faith in starting this project. And it is the beginning of many projects.
Excited to see what the next one is, Thurston. All right. Well, I think that's it for now, until I get off, and then I'll be like, oh yeah, I forgot to tell them about this. But anyway, thank you all for joining us. Don't forget, I'm not going to forget. Like, subscribe, and share, and stay prepared. Remember just to keep on prepping, do what you can, don't get overwhelmed. And just, get that mindset right. And, let's just keep serving. Let's serve him and serve each other. So
yes.
Thank you. We'll see you on the next one. I'm not sure what we're going to talk about. We never know. Sometimes today it was just like we decided today what we were going to talk about. So, just check us out on Facebook and Instagram soon, and emails if you want to. You can. I will put our email address down below. You can email us, tell me to put you on the email list or whatever. So, all right, we shall see you next time. Thanks, Thurston.
Thank you, Don.
We will see y'all. Ciao.